I am resident of Colorwood for YouTube Joel Scenes. That is my buddy Alan Gallant. We're here to review They Drive By Night, and Alan Gallant's doing the driving. Uh,
Not a good scene, man. Not a good scene.
so this is directed by Raoul Walsh, Hugh McMillan, who does the dialogue. Jerry Ward and Richard Macaulay do the screenplay based on Long Haul 1938 novel by A.I. Bazaris, produced by Mark Hillinger. George Raft is here, and Sheridan is here. Humphrey Bogart is here. Cinematographer is Arthur Edson. Edited by Thomas Richards. Music by Adolf Dutch. Dudish.
Probably a
Warner
douche. Yeah.
Yeah, Warner Brothers. I'm so sorry.
Probably was a douche.
Distributed by Warner Brothers. Release dates: July 27th, 1940, New York City.
Mhm.
August 3rd, 1940, U.S. This is only not. This is back in the great old days where movies were short, like only 93 minutes.
Yep. Yep. A typical movie was anywhere between 70 and 90 minutes long.
Yeah, the good old days. Uh,
Hmm.
Budget $539 dollars. That's not bad. $1,596 was the money. Good job, good job. So, Alan, when did you first see this movie?
Oh, I saw it on TV years ago, like back when I was probably in my 20s or something like that. It was featured as some time filler, on a weekend local channel kind of thing. And I watched it because I'd never seen it. I was a big Humphrey Bogart fan, but I'd never seen that movie until that time. I was probably 23, 24 years old, something like that. And yeah, that's I found it to be entertaining melodrama, and that's kind of what it is. It's very much still in the style of the 30s. It's pre-war. Things changed during and after the war in terms of, the tone of some of these movies. But this movie was interesting. It was a combination of some comedy, wisecracking jokes, and some serious drama going on at the same time.
I feel this movie now. When I first watched this movie as a teenager, I kid you not. I first watched, man, this movie doesn't get enough credit for kind of inspiring Mad Max a bit.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a road picture,
It's a
as
road
we were
picture.
talking about the other day. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh, I'm not saying it directly did, but it's really interesting because you got these truckers who are competing against other truckers. They're
hmm,
fighting them and stuff.
yeah.
You, I love how literally you have a truck that gets run off the road. There's flames and it blows up, and it's like, holy shit! For this to
For that
happen,
era, it's pretty good special effects. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and you could tell Warner Brothers was on the nose here for doing this because they did a really good job with their effects department with the flames and stuff. Uh, I like how the police are showing up in the scene where, like, were there people there? Well, there were.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. There were two people in there,
Yeah,
uh, but now they're just sort of fried chicken. Uh, but yeah, the whole dark danger thing, and of course, it's sort of like these independent truckers against the corporate ideal, and they want to be independent for good reason. They don't have to be bossed around by anybody or else and all of that. And of course, this is right at the end of the Depression, so being an independent is tough, and it's hard to get loads, so to speak, and that's pretty well done in this movie. Also, Anne Sheridan's great as the sort of protagonist woman in this, love interest in this for George Raft's character. Um, but also Ida Lupino plays the femme fatale. She's
yes,
the
yes, she does.
dissatisfied wife of the garrulous, happy-go-lucky guy who's just not refined enough for her, and she's like she wants the George Raft character, so she's kind of like she's the bad girl.
And it's obvious too that she is.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
The, I love the fact there are movies that do not hide their female antagonist.
No, or male antagonists.
The
A lot of
male,
times it's like it's all cut and dried. Just going to find out what happens, you
yeah,
know.
you're gonna,
So,
and I like there's a fight going on between George Raft's character and this other dude, and
hmm
she's cutting a promo on her husband, like,
uh-huh.
yeah, because he was a truck driver.
Yes. That's Alan Hale, by the way, who was Alan Hale Jr., the skipper's father. They
Yes,
look very
yes,
much alike.
yep, very much. Alan Hale Senior is here. Yep,
Yeah, he also played, I think, Little John in Robin Hood that was done a few years before this with Olivia de Havilland and Errol Flynn. So
nice, nice.
yeah,
Yeah, Errol Flynn was in a lot of swashbuckling.
it was. It was
uh,
his trademark.
Yeah, yeah,
Captain Blood. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
stuff.
Uh, so production on They Drive By Night began in late April of 1940. Doesn't give it the exact date.
They
Walsh,
cranked it out fast, though. It's like they back then the studios did. They cranked out movies really fast.
yeah, this was a Alan's point. This was a time where movies were coming out left and right, literally. It
Mhm.
ain't like today where it takes forever.
All right.
And productions were quick on these things because they weren't huge productions, really.
No, and they didn't. That way, the studio didn't have to bank on one big movie to make all their money. They had a 10 or 15 or 20 out every year, and they have stable of actors that they have on salary and all of this sort of thing. So they basically spread the profit around.
So if you're wondering why I don't have a lot of production to read, that's why.
Yeah, it's just they just cranked it out because I mean the studio system was a system. They it was organized and it was a tight ship, and they had all the in the Los Angeles area. They had all these great locations if they wanted to
Yeah,
go out of the studio, and all of the interiors could be right inside the big hangars that they had for studios. So it was an interesting time, and a ton of movies did get produced between Warner's and MGM and RKO and Fox. They
yeah.
were It was amazing. A real factory in those days.
Yeah, I mean Casablanca is going to get produced real quick too.
Hmm
I mean it comes out like that.
Yep.
I mean
It's
when it
going to
was,
be. I mean, this is the time in which Humphrey Bogart is about to become a major star because the Maltese Falcon is also going to come out very
yep,
shortly.
yeah. I mean these movies literally they're just coming out like this. This is something we missed today. Today, where a movie it just takes so long to come out, and then they're getting the trailer. It's like, what do you think happened to Hollywood, Alan? Just
Well, one of the things that's happened to Hollywood is, of course, the independent contractor actor now. The studio system no longer exists. They don't hold people under contract for 7 years and do all of that sort of stuff anymore. Person may prefer to work for a certain studio, but that doesn't mean that they have to.
yeah,
In the old days, they would loan out people to studios, but you had to ask permission of the CEO to go and make a film for another studio. And sometimes they'd say no. Now, independent contractors and stars can demand enormous salaries because they are independent contractors. And if a studio wants to lure them in as star material for their newest project, they're going to pay. They're going to pay for it big time. Uh, the expense of mounting films has gone way up, of course. Everything's become more expensive, and the technology is, far advanced, and everything is not. It's not all housed under one roof, so to speak, anymore. So, um, and this all started to happen in the '60s, and by the '70s, the studio system was gone basically, and it was the studios were still there, the major ones, but there's also an enormous amount because the films cost so much more to make now. There's an enormous amount of producing that has to go on and fundraising and from the various studios and so on and the big money, and that takes a long time. sometimes things are in pre-production for years and years and years before they actually lay something down on film. So, yeah, it makes for a very very different landscape of production.
Yeah, yeah, it sucks.
Well, it sucks in some
Yeah,
ways. It
but,
does. Yeah, it does because you don't get that great variety. You used to be able to go to the movies, and of course, it was a lot cheaper to go to the movies too because they were more cheaply made and they was spreading the profits out. So but everything was cheaper back then too. You know, um, you could buy a sandwich for a damn nickel.
uh,
So everything's relative, I guess. Although I think if you went by inflation rates and everything else, things are still more expensive today than they were back then.
yeah. What's your favorite scenes in this movie?
Oh well, that fight scene is cool to watch. You watch
It
this
is.
little guy kick the crap out of this big tall guy, which you knew was going to happen because he's the protagonist. He's the hero of the whole thing, sort of a hero. But yeah, uh, I loved the idea of this story. It's a very straightforward story. These guys are trying to make it. This brother team is trying to make it, and they're just working their butts off trying to make a dime. And just when things start going good, they have a crash and everything's ruined. But
Yeah.
and so and this guy falls in love with this perfect for him woman.
Mhm.
She takes no crap from anybody, and she's smart and loyal and all the things that guy wants. And she also looks after him. She looks out for him. And then there's this other woman. So there's this sort of weird triangle thing going on because he's working for the other woman eventually, but she's a spider. She's a black widow, basically.
Yeah.
She ends up killing the guy's goofy, but we like him. The Alan Hale character, we like
Yeah.
him, even though he's kind of a loud, obnoxious guy. He's not a bad guy. And so when she does that, that's it for her. It's over. She was kind of like that way anyway, but that just took her into the dark side even further. Um,
He's the kind of boss you want to work for. I mean, you do. I mean, in a
yeah, I
way.
mean, he was loyal to his friends,
Yeah.
all of that sort of thing. She didn't like his friends, but he was loyal to them. Oh, she
Yeah.
liked one of his friends, but so there's that tension going on there, and of course, it becomes sort of a murder drama after that happens.
Yeah.
The end of the film is kind of pat in terms of they wrap it up really quick. They have her go crazy and kind of, off she goes. And so, of course, they figure out what really went on and he goes free, which he's supposed to do. And then he ends up basically with his friends taking over the trucking business because she's off to prison and his
Yeah.
buddy's dead. So all's well that ends well, sort of. I mean, then they get married. The couple gets married, and his brother loses an arm. Humphrey Bogart plays his brother,
Yeah.
but he gets a nice job working in the garage and controlling the fleet and doing all that sort of stuff. So everybody ends up making out pretty well in the end, and they end up working for themselves after all, even though
Yeah.
they had to go to work for this corporate bunch. As soon as she goes bonkers, they just take over the whole thing. So
She's the kind of character you can tell is going to go crazy too because
well,
she's
she's
already half
crazy to begin
there.
with. Yeah,
Yeah, she's half there already. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It's like
Ida
this movie.
Lupino was good at playing those roles. She was really good. I mean, she's very pretty, very
Yes.
fashionable looking, and so on, and very sophisticated in a lot of ways. Which her character, that's the source of her frustration. Her husband is not sophisticated; he just happens to have a lot of money. Um, so yeah, you kind of you see that in her. For those people out there that don't know, Ida Lupino was very famous in-demand actress in the 40s and into the 50s, but then she became a director. and she was a really good director, award-winning director. So she had quite an illustrious career, both in front of and behind the camera. Think uh, what's his name? Who um, Ron Howard. Think Ron Howard, who had a great career in front of the camera as an actor for many years, from a child and into young adulthood, and then he became a brilliant director.
She directed many movies,
Mm-hmm.
such as in Outrage, 1950,
Mm-hmm.
The Bigamist, 1953. Let's see, a
She
movie,
directed television too.
yeah, a movie that I really loved that I did not know she directed, The Hitchhiker,
Yeah,
1953.
it's the one. Yes,
Yep, it's a
exactly.
great movie. It's a
Yep.
road movie itself.
Yes, it
Uh,
is.
really, really good. So she's had some really, really great films here to direct. Really, really cool. And by the way, her direction in that movie is excellent in The Hitchhiker. That's the only
Mm-hmm.
movie of hers I've seen, but it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's a movie I've watched. I try to watch every October if I can find.
Yeah,
It's a
it's a nice
thriller.
Halloween era.
Yeah, it's a
Yes,
thriller. Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
it is.
Um, well, some of my favorite scenes in this movie, I love the way they work the camera behind the wheel. When you get the driver's sort of point of view, you don't just get Raft and Bogart's face all the time. When the truck is veering in front of them, and it's their friend, and a woman's in the car, the cab with them, and they wreck. This is where the fire scene happens.
Yeah,
And you get that cool effect with the fire, but it's a really neat. They really do a lot of great camera work here in this movie with the driving, and we do get very cool uh, diner scenes, if you will,
yeah,
with people. I like how the guy keeps looking for him. Hey, I want to, you owe me that. I want that truck. I want that truck.
yes. That little guy who's the loan shark.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and of
Uh,
course he gets the local constable to help him out and all this other stuff. But they end up paying him off, of course, because that's the only way it's going to have a happy ending. They have to make good, and
yeah,
they do eventually.
yeah, yeah.
They
The
sell
ending,
their lemons. So
yeah, the ending is like rushed along here, and
mhm.
oh, the girl, the woman, oh my god, she goes to jail. And you do get a happily ever after, obviously, with this movie. Very,
There's a
very.
Hitchcockian moment in this movie with those automatic doors. That
Mhm.
thing is that, that's her obsession. That's her guilt. When that
Yeah,
automatic door in the prison starts doing weird stuff and she freaks out. So,
yeah. She loses her shit right there.
mhm.
And you're right. It's very sort of Hitchcock in a way, early
Yeah,
Hitchcock, if you would. So very, very good. I give this movie a 10. What do you give it, Al?
I do too. It's great pre-war melodrama. It
Yeah.
really is. It's cool stuff. We're about to go into the film noir age here in the later on in the 40s. It's going to start peaking, and there's a little bit of that going on in this movie. The acting style, the nighttime stuff, all of that sort of precursor to the noir stuff. It's not a noir film, but it's got
Uh,
elements, qualities of it in there.
a lot of its language is noir,
Hmm.
but it's not necessarily a noir movie, I would say.
Right.
And that's the thing, too. A lot of the movies you're going to get that are noir are in the late 40s, early
Oh yeah.
50s. Yeah,
That's going to be the classic age of it from about 1946 to the early 50s. It's
you're going to get The Third Man. You're going to get Out of the
yeah.
Past. You're going to get a shitload of movies.
Yep.
And yes, even though it's not necessarily noir, I would say Faster Pussycat Kill Kill is
It
definitely
has
noir.
that almost so does A Touch of Evil, which is much later.
Yes, yes,
It's
yep,
very noirish.
yep.
Yeah.
Very great movie. Very great. Um, one of Orson Welles' later great movies,
Hmm.
obviously. Were great, just a great. Him and him and freaking him. I think it Charlton Heston.
Charlton Heston is in that movie. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
And so, And yes, yes, Janet Leigh is in that movie. Jamie Lee Curtis's mother.
Yeah.
So
Went
really,
on to
really
greater
good.
fame a few years later in Psycho. So, yeah.
Yeah, she would uh, take a really risk with her. Again, it's
Mhm.
crazy because Janet Leigh had been in a lot of movies, and people can only name her from fucking Psycho now.
I know because it was such an iconic
Scene, yeah.
scene, and it's like you can't forget, you can't unsee it when you
Uh,
once you've seen it.
but
So,
when you go see her earlier movies, she was great.
oh
You
yeah,
know, you
and
know,
continued on after that as
yeah.
well. Having a career in both television and film. So,
It's like something my friend asked me. He said, "Who does Jamie Lee Curtis remind you of? Does she remind you of her mother?" I said, "Yeah, but to me, her acting style is more her dad's.
mhm.
Very, very good. I mean, her dad. Nobody talks about him.
Well, Tony was a natural. I mean, he's
Yes,
freaking
that's
natural.
where Jamie, I think,
Yeah.
gets that side from both of them.
Hmm.
They're just both naturals, so she got it naturally.
Yeah.
And they're both great. They were both great actors, actor and actress, I should say.
Hmm.
But yeah, yeah. So tomorrow we're gonna do Charlie Bowles, the Halloween character. Gonna be a fun discussion.
Cool.
Uh, but yeah, link to Patrick Craig's Dark Shadows A book. Triumph, it's going to be a description box. Link to Alan Gallant's YouTube channel, Colin Sport After Dark, is going to be in the description box. Go check out his new video. It's really, really good. Good job, Alan. Good job.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I like how you answered my question about the tapes and the playing cards in the last video.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, before we go,
Yeah.
I'll show you the art cards that I got that were produced recently within the last few years.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and the backs of the cards look like this. You can see all the characters around Dan Curtis. That's the back of the card. The front of the cards, the main, the kings, the queens, and the jacks, and the aces, all are Dark Shadows characters. So here's the King of Hearts, and that's going to be
Barnabas.
John Fred. Yeah, and let's see. Um, Ace of Hearts is the vampire Josette, and so on. And they're all they're artistic renditions of famous photographs from the series, really, of different characters. And then the regular sort of suits have just sort of generic horror themes, the twos and the threes and the fours and all that stuff. So this was put out by an individual a few years ago. They're a little pricey. They were like 25 bucks, I think, something
Yeah.
like that. But they're very nice. They're high quality cards. And so I went ahead and bought those. So MPI put out a set of Dark Shadows cards where the backs, it was just the backs that had the house on it and it said Dark Shadows on it. So there's been a couple that have done that, and a few people independently have put out at least partial sets of Dark Shadows tarot cards. I know that Patrick did some of those renditions at one
Yeah.
point a few years back. But yeah, so that's kind of an example of sort of fan made stuff that's come out in recent years.
Yeah. Yeah. That was awesome. Those are awesome cards, dude.
So
Awesome, awesome. Man. Well, Alan, you have a good night, dude.
you as well. Catch you later.
Get you later, man.